Since the start of the Absolute universe, obviously everyone wanted to see how the Absolute characters would stack up against the Prime versions of themselves. And that's what we get here in DCKO number 4, the pin ultimate issue of this series. If you read issue 3, then you know at the very end, that's what was teased. That's what was set up. We saw the Absolute Trinity, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman versus the 4 challengers remaining in DCKO, which are Lex Luthor, Joker, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But if you've been reading Night Fight, you know that another player is set to come in. So before I get any further, I just want to say spoilers if you have not read this issue because it just came out. So I want to give you a spoiler warning. But that being said, let's get into it. Now, the issue opens up exactly where issue 3 left off, which is the Absolute Trinity fighting our champions. They get into a brawl. We see Superman versus Absolute Superman and Wonder Woman versus Absolute Wonder Woman, and that leaves Absolute Batman versus the villains, which is Lex Luthor and Joker. And Superman versus Superman's brawl is pretty cool. You've got the inner monologue from the Heart of Apocalypse narrating what's going on, talking about everything Clark sees and what he feels, and how it is fighting him, and like the weird cape that he's got. And then you see Diana come in and she tries to help him fight this Superman, but then Absolute Wonder Woman comes in and clocks her. And then you see Absolute Batman just charging at them. Also, I will say something that's a little weird is Absolute Batman has always been huge, but him and Wonder Woman just met in both Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Batman. In both titles, they had a little crossover, and Wonder Woman's bigger than him. She's taller than him, but in this, he's way taller than Diana, so I don't know how that works. But yeah, especially because Scott Snyder wrote this and Absolute and the last issue of Absolute Batman and all of Absolute Batman. So you think he could have said something to the artist and been like, hey, by the way, Wonder Woman's the tallest out of all of them. But either way, that's just a little nitpick. I just found that where it's like, come on, just have some consistency. But it doesn't take away from the book. Anyways, Absolute Batman is charging at Lex and Joker. And in the narration, it's like, oh, Lex Luthor, he's used up like all his power. He's got enough power for one last blast in his war suit. But seeing as Batman's just a normal dude, he decides to use elephant tranquilizer on him. But that doesn't work because Absolute Batman's so huge that he's bigger than an elephant, I guess. But the thing that's kind of funny about this is throughout DCKO, I've really liked the Lex stuff. The Lex and Superman stuff has by far been the best. As far as the mainline DCKO event, not talking about any spinoffs or stuff because a lot of the tie-in books have not been very good. But the main DCKO stuff, I've really liked what they've done with Superman and Lex he truly has been the smartest guy in the DC universe, like he should be. But here, it's like he really didn't realize that he could run out of power during the event. And then also, he's choosing what's going to be in his war suit, I'm assuming, prior to going into this. And he's like, elephant tranquilizer. It's like, I don't know if that's what I would choose, especially because Lex doesn't have anything against killing. So it's like, elephant tranquilizer or like some 50 50 caliber rounds, maybe have that or something. But so that was just kind of weird. But anyways, it was just made for a fun little moment where it doesn't work against Absolute Batman because he's such a hoss. Anyways, the next page we see that Joker, because Absolute Batman points at Joker and he's like, well, what you gonna do? What's your move? Because the whole time Lex is like, shoot him. And Joker's like, I want to change sides. And then Booster Gold, who has been completely taken over by Darkseid, he has been Darkseid's avatar in this because of everything he went through when he was in the Absolute Universe at the beginning of this whole DC All-In. He talks to him, and Darkseid Booster is like, well, I guess you could change sides, but you forfeit your right to become King Omega, to become a champion. And he's like, that's fine. I got to kill Batman at the beginning of this thing. That was lit. And so then he joins them, and Darkseid gives him some like little Darkseid energy to become a Joker parademon. Now, remember what I just said about how I really liked how Lex and Superman have been used throughout this event? I don't like how Joker has been used. I've not been a big fan of how Joker has been used. I'm just don't really care for it. I'm over Joker. I think Joker can be a great character, but in this event, he wasn't needed, and I feel like the event would have been better without him, to be honest. And him making it to the Final Four was really stupid, in my opinion. But anyways, he joins the bad guys to fight our heroes. So now the fight begins again. Superman and Absolute Superman start fighting, and Wonder Woman and Absolute Wonder Woman start fighting, and Joker just rips some of the kryptonite out of Lex, out of his war suit, and gives it to Absolute Batman, who instantly knows what to do with it. I'm assuming because of he's completely like possessed by Darkseid right now. All of them are taking over Darkseid. They say it multiple times. Like Superman uses his X-ray vision, and Diana like uses her lasso, and they all feel that all these beings are all completely Darkseid. There's nothing else in like their cellular structure but Darkseid. There's nothing else in them but Darkseid. So I'm assuming that's why, because otherwise it's like this Batman hasn't met Superman yet. How could he know that kryptonite is specifically to take down Superman or his weakness? Because no one mentions it in the issue. So when Absolute Batman is given the kryptonite, it's like, how's he know? All right, this is for Superman. It would have been very funny if when Joker hands him the kryptonite, he then went and stabbed Wonder Woman with it. Was like, ha, your weakness. It's like that would have been funny, but instead he just intrinsically knows that it's meant for Superman, which I'm assuming again is because he's all dark side. That's my head canon reason, at least. Anyways, he goes and he bull rushes Superman, stabs him with the kryptonite, and then the actual Prime Batman shows up. And this was pretty cool. I was of course it's Scott Snyder, so he's gonna give Batman a big moment. It was a cool moment because at the beginning of the event, literally the very first issue, Batman got killed by Joker and it was just over. It's like, wow, I did not expect that, especially from a Scott Snyder event, because he generally tends to give Batman the coolest moments. And here he gets a great moment. He shows up and he takes out Joker, gets his revenge. He stabs Joker from behind, like how Joker stabbed him behind. Pause before. And now he helps Superman. They have a nice little moment. They have a little flashback to their board game where it's talked about, like, Batman doesn't cheat. He's just so great at everything. Anyways, now he takes on Absolute Batman, and it's great. I love this little back and forth because he's like, I've taken on a lot of Batman lately, because in Night Fight, he fought different versions of Batman. He fought Dick Grayson Batman, Jason Todd Batman, Tim Drake, Damien. He fought all the Robins in a possible future where they became Batman and what their Gotham would look like and everything. Anyways, he fought a bunch of Batman, so he's like, I fought a lot of Batman recently, but this is the ugliest symbol I've ever seen. I thought that was great. I like it because it's Scott Snyder poking fun at himself, and that was good. That was a really nice little moment. And Absolute Batman looks huge here. He's not actually this big. It's just a perspective shot, but Javi Fernandez does a fantastic job with the art, as he has through every issue. But I love how chaotic everything is when the action goes down in this book. Prime Batman uses his agility and smarts to get a little leg up on Absolute Batman, but as we see, it doesn't work, as we've seen throughout all of Absolute Batman, where it doesn't matter what you do, the guy's just so big and such a force of nature that doesn't seem to matter. So he tanks what Prime Batman does to him and keeps going and goes after him, and gives him a bit of a licking. And then we get Absolute Superman and Superman brawling, and you see this part where Superman does his heat vision where he does like 1,000,000 bursts per second, which was a pretty cool feat. And Absolute Superman uses his crazy cape to block it. And what it does, it sort of like crystallizes it, sort of, to where it makes a prison for him so he can't get out of it. So that was kind of a cool little moment. And during the whole thing, the narration's talking about how Superman and Diana are getting very tired because there have been no breaks between rounds. They've been fighting this whole time. But also, I feel like that kind of goes against, because each one, it's kind of like, if I remember correctly, in the beginning, it was kind of like they reset after each round. They were kind of like, they weren't like taking the toll each round. It's not like, it's not like a 5-round fight like you're watching a UFC fight. And it's like, man, round 5, they look way different than round 1. It's like, I thought like with the Omega energy and everything, they had been sort of resetting each round. But this is like, no, they've been carrying the weight of each round. So I feel it kind of contradicts stuff that was set up earlier, but maybe I just misread that. Maybe that's on me. I don't know. But anyways, it clearly sets up that they are tired throughout this, which makes you think, because going into this, I personally thought that the Prime versions of these characters are way more powerful and more skilled than the Absolute versions. I thought they'd wipe the floor with them. So I guess this is their way of setting that up. But also, if you read DCKO Boss Battle, which you shouldn't, it was terrible, sadly, because I really like Jeremy Adams. I think he's a great writer, but Boss Battle was not it. In that, they fight these people from other universes, like Homelander from The Boys and the Bear from Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, to get more Omega energy to prepare for this fight. But that plays no factor into this at all. It doesn't seem like they got any more Omega energy. So again, the a lot of the spin-offs, a lot of the tie-in books have been really bad for this series, sadly. Anyways, during this whole thing, also, Diana is trying to talk to Absolute Diana the whole time. She's like, there's got to be more to you than this, sister. And she's talking to her the whole time. But then once Superman gets Absolute Superman in this little prison of his own making, he then goes and gives everything it says is one last shot, a punch that could break the world. He punches Booster Gold to knock him out, to take him out, to be like, all right, this is how I'm going to take over Darkseid. Also, something I forgot to mention earlier was there's a point where Superman and Absolute Superman collide, and it talks about how it would kill everyone else if Superman didn't absorb the energy. So that was also pretty cool. That was kind of an insane moment. But anyways, this happens, and now the mind control that was over Absolute, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman is done, and they're like freed. And they're like, whoa, we're free. That was like a nightmare, like a passenger in your own body. They're like, everything's good. And then Lex is like, no, you fool, that's not what happened. you didn't actually take out Darkseid here. He let them go because he's actually here. Then you get this sick moment. Javi Fernandez again, fantastic job on this issue, on this whole series, but this issue especially, where Booster Gold's knocked out body, you see Darkseid start ripping through it to crawl out of his body to get here, and it's sick. And you get like Absolute Batman looks completely shocked. Absolute Wonder Woman, her world's been rocked. Mainline Prime Wonder Woman is incredibly surprised. Batman, Lex, and Prime Superman are all kind of locked in and determined. And then Absolute Superman's like mind's blown as well. It's such a great moment. I love that. It looks so cool. And then you see, all right, they're all here. They're all going to charge. This is sort of like the beginning that we saw, sort of Superman's vision before this all happened, where they're all charging. They all go. Darkseid, he's ginormous. He shoots his Omega beams and he kills everyone except Superman. Superman's the one that's able to tank it. The narration stating that Clark wills his cells to hold, and then it goes through a number of possibilities. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that, or maybe he just has enough to push through, and it's pretty cool. And then he screams at Darkseid, "Is that all you got?" And he sees behind him is Lex. Lex was hiding behind Superman, and he shielded him from the Omega beam. So it's only Superman and Lex. He's like, all right, he's waiting. You ready to go? And then Lex is like, well, he's waiting for a champion. And then he uses one last blast to take out Superman, because Superman's obviously been weakened by everything he's gone through and just tanking the Omega beams. And so he defeats him, and Lex wins the tournament. He becomes the King Omega. Now, is Superman kind of an idiot for this whole time, knowing Lex was playing to win and knowing Lex was still there, and then being like, all right, Lex, we're going to team up to fight Darkseid? Yes. I feel like that doesn't make sense. The whole time he's been sus of Lex the whole entire time. His whole goal, the first issue, was to take out Lex, and now he's just like, all right, Lex, we're going to fight together because of everything we've been through. It's like, I don't think Superman would do that. I don't think this Superman would do that. Like, not even specifically like a different Superman we've seen. The Superman we've seen in this series has displayed that he would not trust his Lex like this. So the cool moment's a little bit undone. I have no problem with Lex winning the tournament, by the way. He's the smartest and the most ruthless there, so I have no problem with that. Just the way it happened to where Superman's just like I would have preferred that Superman did see it coming and just there was nothing he could do. Instead here he's like, you ready to go? And then he like gets shot in the back, and it's just like Superman wouldn't have been that stupid. So I thought that was kind of stupid. Anyways, tournament's over and Lex wins. But we also get a backup issue from Joshua Williamson and Hermancio, and this is Saturn Girl talking to Darkseid, because Darkseid has his Dark Legion. If you've been reading all this stuff, then you know. And he's talking to her, and we see how he got the absolute versions, how he got the absolute Trinity. He talks about how they are all made of him and how he made everything, but he doesn't know their current, like what their future is really going to hold. Even though he's Darkseid is and he's everything, he doesn't know what the absolute Trinity is going to turn out like. So he gets her to grab them to bring them to the tournament. And then there's a point where he asks her to reach into his mind, and she does it, and she sees that Darkseid is everything. Darkseid is, like we've always seen a million times before, but she sees it, and she sees that he always wins, except she sees Time Trapper, which is a future Doomsday. If you've been reading this, then again, you know about Time Trapper. He's been an integral part about this. And we see that seems to be the one way that they could possibly win, which that'll be interesting, because before it has happened before where Doomsday has dog walked Darkseid clones. So because Darkseid, it's never really the true Darkseid. It's all like an avatar for Darkseid. And we've seen him dog walk some of those before. So who knows? Maybe it's going to be something like that. Maybe Time Trapper's obviously going to do something to meddle with time. We'll see. Maybe he'll go back and somehow meddle with time to where Superman won't get taken out by Lex in that last second. Who knows? But either way, I'm excited to see what happens. But overall, what do I think of the series so far is I've liked the story that's been told in the main KO series. I've liked what Scott Snyder and Javi Fernandez have done here. I'm kind of upset that it's been such a lie, though, as far as the tournament goes, because, like, I get it, it's Darkseid and his bad guys, and so of course it's not a straight up thing, like, but it's like it was advertised as this big KO tournament where we're gonna get all these fights. And you didn't get like any of that. Like everything was a complete lie. You got hardly anything past round one. Even round one, a lot was lies. And so that's kind of makes me a little upset, because, all this stuff was advertised, all this stuff was kind of promised, and then you don't get like, oh man, here's the final four: Lex Luthor, Superman, and Wonder Woman versus Joker. It's like Wonder Woman should destroy Joker. How's that gonna happen? And then it's like, oh no, they don't even really fight, and you don't. And it just felt like they didn't really have the balls to be like, Superman beats Wonder Woman, or blah, 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 or like, Lex Luthor beats Joker, or however it goes. Like, they didn't have any type of like balls to be like, this character definitely beat this character in this bracket. They didn't want to do that. So like, we got to do this curveball thing to be like, so that way we're not angering anyone. It's like, come on. This is supposed to be the event where they fight. That's what's supposed to happen. That's what was promised to us. That's what that this was sold on, but instead we don't. I still like what we got because I think it's interesting and I am intrigued by it. It's just, man, the initial premise is like, I feel like you didn't need to lie with this whole KO thing. I felt like you didn't need to lie about how this bracket and all this stuff was gonna go. So that stuff is a little upsetting to me. But overall, I still have enjoyed the main KO story. But the tie-ins have been atrocious for the most part. There have been a few all right ones, like Aquaman versus Hawkman was great, and that was basically it. Some of the others were okay, and then most of them have been bad, which is sad because I was hoping some of them would be good. But I am ready for this to be over. I'm excited for the final issue, but I'm also ready for this to be over. I do have event fatigue, all these freaking tie-ins. I'm ready for it to be done with. But yeah, this issue was good. It was exciting. It was action-packed. Javi Fernandez, so good. And Scott Snyder's obviously on a roll right now. So I'm excited to see how it ends. But anyways, please let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What are your thoughts on KO so far? And what do you think happens? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all later.
Hey, skinny boy, saucy boy, I be running to the bank. Yeah, you know I hit the gas in the whip full tank. Riding past the ocean while I'm listening to Frank.